Blackballed. Blackballed. Blackballed.
What is up, everybody? My name is James DeFury, and this is Casual Friday on Blackballed. I love this day of the week. This is the day of the week that I get to not book a guest, which is the bane of my existence. I don't like show running. I wish I never had to do it again, but I do. And we are coming off a slow week at Blackballed. Yesterday we had the mental health checkup, and it was a good show, but we ended up bogged down in vaccine talk a little bit, which I think makes people mental anyways. However, today, Casual Friday today is going to be a pretty dope show. Unfortunately, Ryan Lindley can't make it. He's doing an ice wine thing in the Niagara region, I think, for the network. But we have two very, very competent and very entertaining guests. One of them is Spencer Rice, a.k.a. Spenny, and the other one from the Eager Beaver podcast. His name is Paul Atkinson. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Great.
Good.
I haven't had one of these in a while.
Haven't had one of these in a while?
I haven't done a podcast in a long time.
Oh, really?
Well, I had COVID.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was really. I didn't get that third vaccine. I don't want to talk about vaccines because obviously you don't want to talk about them. But
I never got the third one either. Just so you know. Yeah,
I've had 5.
5. Wow.
5?
5 shots.
Are you
no
kidding?
COVID. No, dead serious. No COVID. No COVID.
Right. Okay, well there you go. So I fucked up.
Yeah. Well.
Guinness, Paul.
We're not going to discuss any of that shit tonight. We're just going to have.
No, I think he asked if you were drinking Guinness, didn't he?
No. This is a Kitchissippi Amber Ale. Normally, I do drink Guinness because I'm a Guinness drinker, but this is a locally brewed Ottawa beer, and it's a lovely pint.
Lovely.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a reasonably priced Auchentoshan Scottish single malt whiskey.
I'm familiar with that one.
Do you water yours down?
I put ice in it.
Yeah.
If it's really like this bottle was like $65, which is a lot. But the one I wanted was about $130.
Yeah.
That's a real lot of money. And that one I wouldn't water down at all.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, so Auchentoshan, which is a lovely Scotch. I'm going to go out on a limb and think you were going for like a peaty, malty, maybe a Lagavulin.
Greg, you seem to pronounce these better than me. How did you pronounce? I said Auchentoshan.
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 I thought that was like kids' clothes. I thought you said Oshkosh Bagosh for a second.
No. The only reason I know the name is because a friend of mine lives in Glasgow, and she's like, I'm like, so I had this, and she goes, Auchentoshan. Oh, okay, all right.
When I first tried peaty, or I guess it's Scotch made with peat as opposed to wood, I didn't like it, and as I'm getting older, it's really appealing to me.
Well, yeah. I'm a Lagavulin lover myself.
Listen, no one describes Scotch as lovely, right? Like when you guys were young and people were like taking shots for the first time and be like, "Take it, you pussy." Were you impacted by that? Were you like, "Fine, I'll take it. I'm not a pussy. I'll take it." Because I wasn't. I was just like, I don't give a fuck what you guys say. I'm not taking this disgusting shit down my throat. This is gross.
I was the guy telling people to do the shots. And,
yeah, totally.
And honestly, I was, and I can be honest. I can be very honest as I am. My father was an alcoholic. God bless him. I definitely have a bit of that in me, and I still am to this day very socially awkward. So I drank to excess in social situations when I was younger. Now I just don't have social situations. I made my life that way.
So I can oddly recognize that. I say oddly because my father's not an alcoholic. My mom and dad are still blissfully happy, married. My dad is 82, 82. And they're just wonderful, glorious human beings. But my dad does enjoy a beverage, and my mother, who is Irish Catholic, less so.
Wow.
Because her brothers, her older brothers, were kind of like me. We like to have a beverage from time to time.
Yeah, I can see.
I don't want, and look, literally, I have family
You're
members.
so dramatic. We like to have a beverage from time to time.
Well,
You
I
sound like a commercial.
I have family members watching, so I want to be polite and
Oh, you have family
confidential.
members watching? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play this video here while your family members watch.
They can kiss my hiney. Well, here I am at a famous school. I'm dressing sharp and I'm acting cool. Got a cheerleader here, wants to help with my paper. Maybe let her do all the work and maybe later I'll rape her. Oh God, I'm so fantastic.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a Bobby Brown lyric from Frank Zappa. That's not my words. Come on, like
I'm just
But
I'm just trying to give a shout out to your fam. That's all.
I thought the way you look, you might have been the first rapper ever.
Yeah.
Like
nope.
Methuselah.
No.
Okay, my dad was great, by the way. That alcoholism didn't define him in any way. I want to make that
Of course
clear.
not. Of course not. Of course not.
But you know what? Like I had a very destructive drinking life when I was younger. Very destructive. In fact, we used to do. We'd have a pitcher of water and a bottle, and it would just shot, gulp, gulp, gulp water, and we'd get so absolutely obliterated, and then eventually vomit. I'm sure. I don't remember those days, but the
You
reality
had it.
was I had a condition where if I drank booze, my face would break out in a rash. So my vanity
It's called rosacea.
vanity saved my life. I'm pretty sure because I was as soon as I made the connection, I tapered off on the alcohol. And I remember when I first quit drinking, about 3 weeks after when I quit the hard drinking, I was driving one morning and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm not hungover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, this is what people who don't drink too much must feel like all the time. And I've never really drank like that again, thank God.
It's kind of crazy when that realization happens, right? And for those of us who have gone through that ringer in the sense that I used to drink a lot in my younger days, and I don't apologize for it. I did it. It happened. I still have days when I drink a fair bit. Today being one of those days. However, most of the time I'm very comfortably sober. But yeah, I get what you're saying, Spencer. Spenny.
Spenny works, yeah.
Spenny. Well, it's like I watched you on television for a long time, so it's like now I'm sitting here shooting the shit with you. We're having a couple of drinks and doing
Yeah.
this show, and it's weird because you're one of the guys that I watched for a long time. But
That
where I'm
surprises me, by the way. I don't know why. It just always surprises me.
well, we're kind of the same age. I'm
No,
54.
no, it's not your age. It's just I'm always surprised, because the fans that come to our shows generally aren't like you. I don't know how else to put it. So when I find someone that's intelligent and well spoken, and I'm always surprised when they find out. I just basically call all my fans dumb. But anyways, that's the way it goes.
I
There
don't
was
know
some
if
of
I-
us that watch your show. I watch the show every day with my buddy, and
That blows my mind. Yeah.
well, every day that it was on. It was on like it was a weekday show, wasn't it? Like 4 o'clock or some shit. Like
That was the first season on CBC. We were on at 5:30.
5:30, right?
Yes.
Okay, but I kept watching, and we were like, I was a big fan of you because you reminded me of the friend that I was watching it with, who might be on tonight. His name's David, and it was like I was a student of the show in that I wanted to just know what was a bit and what was like an embellishment, and I had fun because you guys did it so well that I couldn't tell when something was being exaggerated and when it was just organic, and that's what I liked about the show. Like you guys hid that shit really well.
I've been on the show a couple of times. I guess we've never talked about it. Just to briefly answer your question, if you want.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
I mean, how we first of all, our personalities are pretty much bang on to what you see on the screen. Our general personalities, our core personalities. I'm a hard work, not very street smart, very trusting kind of guy. Kenny, very street smart, very witty with his one-liners. Loves to be mean and shocking. So in that way, it was very, very honest. And we'd known each other since we were kids. But what really explains why you wonder about that and why you think we're so good at it was that when we shot the show, the production model that we came up with was that I would be in the dark. So when production meetings happened, where Kenny would reveal whatever he was going to do, I wasn't present. So
Good
the reality, people would say to me, how
Yeah.
do you know, that Kenny was going to cheat? And of course I knew he was going to cheat. I didn't know how. And it wasn't in the best interest of the show, frankly, to try to figure that out. My job was to do what the kind of ordinary Joe would do in a competition, right? He'd go maybe talk to an expert and actually do the competition. And it was lucky that it worked. But so a lot of the stuff was very real. I mean, the shtick came in sometimes when the network interfered. Certain things happened. But, I had to live in this reality of, my crazy friend who was crazy and is crazy. Basically could do whatever he wanted to me within not even in reason. And I didn't know what it was going to be or where it was going to come from. But
Was the house that you guys did it in? Was it like a friend of mine claimed that that was the house once? Was it between like Gloucester and Maitland on Sherburne, like in that area somewhere?
Yeah,
or?
it was. There's two houses. The season
okay.
one that you said you saw was a different house. I can't remember the name of the street, but it was behind the Keg Mansion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But the house we shot the majority of episodes from was on Sherburne. Very rough part of town, actually.
I remember that part. I used to get free meals at the Keg Mansion. That was my go-to spot. And when I was young, and I didn't have any money at all, and I was an idiot. I used to tell homeless people this trick all the time, just so they would just the next time I see them, I ask them if they did it. And this one guy came back and he's like, "I did it, man. It worked." But if you have a loony and a cigarette, and when you could still smoke in restaurants, you could get away with skipping your tab in a very easy to manage way. Which is, you go to the Value Village, you take your loony, and you buy a coat or like a shirt or something that you can hang over a chair. And then you go and you eat and you drink as much as you want. And then you light a cigarette. This is the second half. And then you put it in the ashtray and then you just leave. And then it takes them like 20 minutes at least to figure out that you're not coming back. They'd probably wait for the cigarette to extinguish itself. They're like, well, this shirt's still there. It's got to be here somewhere. Anyways, and it was a great way to get a free meal when you were broke and or homeless, as these gentlemen were. This is all I was trying to do. I needed to make sure it worked. But it was a good way to get a free meal. And
could you actually not afford it, or were you just?
I could not afford it. I still can't afford it. I'd still have to do that if I lived in Toronto. I wouldn't be able to afford nothing.
So
I will say
what?
this, Kenny and I don't think he'd mind it. So many years ago, we had a great scam going at. It was a place on Yonge Street around Richmond, where you'd go into the restaurant and had all these kiosks. And you could go to each one and you could get fritters at one and pancakes at another and steak at, the place I'm talking, La Marche.
La Marche, yeah. It always smelled like the potatoes that they cooked.
Yes. So when it first opened, I don't know if you remember, you'd get a card.
That's right.
And you'd go, we figured out a way to get a third card. Or each of us would have two cards. So we would go and eat the most expensive food, but then get stamped, make sure we got stamped for coffee, something really inexpensive.
Hash browns. Yeah.
And so they'd ask to see the one card. By the way, I'm very ashamed that I did that, especially because I came from a privileged background, but that's why I asked you, did you really need?
No, I had nothing. So but that's the thing. When I had nothing, dude, I am 46 years old. I have still never had a credit card. Ever in my life. So when my friends used to go like, "Oh man, I'm just broke. Oh, I'll just have to put it on the card." I was like, "You're not broke then.
Yeah.
I'm broke.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Because I can't fucking put anything on the car because I don't have one. But I
But
used
James,
to.
why didn't you have a car, James? Was it a because you seem like a very anti-society, anti kind of rebel rouser type? Is that why? Because that's
I
too
do.
much in the system, or you didn't get one?
No, I think it was because I was set on a path of failure when I was quite young. And like my dad was like a kind of like a small time white collar criminal. He was a tax evader. He got busted once and had to go to court, and the judgment was against him for 80 grand. And he literally went like this, Jesus fucking Christ. And he wrote a check, and he right there, and he's like, who do I give it to? Who do I give it to? And he just left. But he made me get OSAP.
Right.
Right. And I was like, why am I getting OSAP? Like like our house wasn't a big house or anything, but like we my dad made like 150 grand for like the 18 years that I lived with him and paid taxes on 40 of it. Except for one time
every year or like for the total 18 years? Or like
you know
every year
that electronics company, Philips?
Yeah.
My dad was the vice president of something inside Philips. I can't remember what it was.
Holy huck, dude.
But this is back in the 70s.
I used their nose hair.
Yeah.
This is back in the
Very
70s, right? And my dad created, I don't know if what he did, he was a computer programmer. So whatever he did was something that was really instrumental, pardon the pun, for compact speakers. So I don't know if you ever heard of this. My dad apparently invented this this pitch where he would bring in guys from like Japan or whatever, and they would like try to sell them on the speakers, like a company. And then they would play like classical music out of these gigantic speakers, and they would be kind of impressed. And then my dad would be like, press that button. And he'd press the button, and the four walls of the speakers would fall, revealing two speakers inside them that were like a third of the size. And they were like, oh, that's crazy. Oh. And then, so when that happened, my dad got passed over for a promotion, sued for wrongful dismissal, won like 300 grand in like 1979, and then started his own company.
You could have gone on Dragon's Den with that.
He didn't like to talk to people.
I know that you've had your issues with your upbringing, James, and we've talked about this in the past. But is your dad still around?
No, he's dead. He died.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we've talked about that too. But I've had some beers, so I can't remember everything.
Yeah, he's dead. It's weird because I saw him like twice in the last 20 years of his life. He was a very non-communicative man, a cat's in the cradle kind of situation.
Damn.
Like every few years, I guess I would try calling him or whatever. And it was funny. The last actual communication I had with him was probably in he died in 2014.
Right.
I think it might have been early 2014. I wanted to write a piece on a story that he had told me when I was young. It's an interesting story. You know who Tommy Lasorda is, the baseball manager?
Yes, I do.
So when Tommy Lasorda was really young, he was like 19 or something. He played for the Montreal Royals.
I remember that.
The farm team of I think it was the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm not sure. But anyways, when he went to Montreal to play, he wanted to bill it with a family that made good Italian food. So he ended up going to my dad's aunt's place and living there. And my dad used to see him all the time, and they used to eat dinners on every Sunday together when the family got together. And I wanted to write a story about that. So I emailed him, and I was like, who do I, do you remember this story or whatever? And he wrote, before that, I'd be like, hey, how you doing? And I'd never hear back. And this time I asked him about that story, and he sent me this really long, really interesting, the version of the story that I had forgotten, I guess. And yeah, so baseball, my dad and I connected on. He was my coach for a little while. But I think my dad had undiagnosed Asperger's. He couldn't order a fucking pizza. You know what I mean? He could talk to people in a business setting, and that was it. Socially, forget about it. Ordering a pizza, forget about it. If there was no one home and he wanted a pizza, he just wouldn't have pizza because there was no one to fucking call the pizza place, right? So
it was like I would like a pizza, but it needs to have a special sauce. And
he didn't stutter like that.
Tomato sauce. Yeah. Tomato sauce. Has some tomato sauce. Tomato sauce. Look, I have ADHD and OCD, and
welcome to the club. Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't see me fucking stuttering.
Well, the stuttering is just something that's socially been taught to me, right, over the years of Hollywood films, and I don't know. Occasionally, I stutter. Apparently, I just
Was that
realized that.
stutter you just did? Was that you pretending to be?
No,
Uh,
that was legitimate.
Oh.
Oh,
That was
Oh,
legitimate.
fuck. I'm sorry, man. I thought you were just impersonating my dad and gave him the stutter for some reason. I'm sorry.
Well,
I apologize. Yeah.
I was to a degree, and then all of a sudden, I stuttered on my own and didn't fucking know I had that.
It's casual Friday. You can't fucking start pulling out stutters here. Like, you know
Well,
what I'm saying?
I mean, when see, I'm doing it now, stammering, stuttering. But when I do the show with Douglas, it's natural and easy for me to just do the flow. I'm not a broadcaster. I don't have a degree. I didn't go to school for any of this shit. I just have a deep voice, and I work in tech. I work in AV stuff, so I'm able to manipulate and make stuff sound good to a degree. But
now, is your big penis? Does that make your voice deeper?
well, possibly, I don't know.
Except when he jogs, because then it hits his balls when he jogs, right? So
as you know, they castrate.
plus he doesn't have a cat, because then he can't walk around naked, right?
I don't have any pets or plants because that could interfere with the stuff.
You hit me like a wrecking ball. Spenny, you have tattoo news. Can you share your tattoo news with us?
I've always wanted a tattoo, but I've never had the balls to get one. I'm Jewish, so there. Not that this makes me want to get it even more. If you have a tattoo, you're not supposed to be tattooed if you're Jewish, which I don't think has anything to do with the Holocaust and the tattooing of.
No.
It's desecrating God's work.
Are you
Apparently
Jewish?
you can cut the shit out of your penis, but you can't put a fucking little tattoo on your elbow. Like,
Yeah, that's funny. Sure. Listen, Paul, are you Jewish? Paul?
No, but
Okay.
literally, I got to show you a fucking photo that will blow your mind.
Your penis?
No.
Okay, I don't know. I heard it was big.
we need to get a pickle sponsor or some shit. Like, we need to.
No, I'll see if I can find the photo. I have a photo of me when I was 16 when I have a giant Jew fro. I'm not Jewish.
Jew fro.
I had one too.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, it was bad. I had a Jufro like the guy from Stranger Things, the fat kid. Like that was basically my hair. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I'm apparently if you have a tattoo, you can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery, which really doesn't bother me on so many levels.
Sounds like
I'd be dead, first of all. Second of all, I'm not sure I even want to be buried. But anyways, so then it became what kind of tattoo, right? What are you going to get on your body that's going to be there till the day you die that you're going to have to look at, presuming it's not on my back? I'm going to get it here on my arm right here. And I thought, okay, my life has been two things, comedy and music. So I couldn't get the comedy and music thing together. So I'm going to do the music thing another time, and I have an idea for that. But when I it's hard. Like my comedy heroes.
That was me when I was 16. Okay.
wow.
Black
Yeah.
Sabbath. That's
Yeah.
You look like an extra from Dazed and Confused.
Well, I was 16 years old. And I posted this a couple of years ago, and my buddy.
But I just want to interrupt your story to just let everyone know we're aware that Paul interrupted the tattoo story. But go ahead. Go ahead, Paul.
we're coming back.
That
to
was
the
so
tattoo
worth
story.
it, by the way. This is great.
We're coming back to the tattoo story. Don't worry. It's just Spenny was like, "Dude, I got to see this." So here it is.
There it is.
Yeah, that's me
I
at
would call that a
16.
fro. I would not call that a fro, my friend.
What?
No,
What would you call it?
No, it's round and it's big, but it's not like an afro. No.
It's so. Here's the thing. My buddy Stuart,
It's more like a Walton family fro.
my good buddy Stu, is like, that's a Jew fro, and I'm like Irish Catholic. He goes, nope, that's a Jew fro. I'm like, all right, I'll take your word for it.
No, he's right. It's a Jew fro, but it's not an afro.
My
No, that's what I
great-grandmother
said. It
was
was Jew
Jewish.
fro,
I'm like
Jew fro,
1/16.
not an
so
afro.
I agree 100%.
I'm 1/16 Jewish, by the way. I don't know what
Are
that
you really?
means, but my
No.
great grandmother or something like that is Jewish. That's all I know.
Well, I don't have a foreskin.
Did you hear
so
about? Did you hear about the Jewish guy with a erection? He walked into a wall and broke his nose. Did you hear that story? Okay. So here, so let me get back to okay. Then it becomes okay. I'm going to do the comedy one first. Who is it? W.C. Fields. Like what is it? Is it that the Greek mask with the comedy and tragedy? And so this is what I landed on, and I absolutely love these guys. Just look at the faces and get rid of the words because it's from a poster. Don't you think that's cool?
Yeah, this is like Marx Brothers.
Yes.
Yeah, the Marx Brothers. One of my absolute favorites.
Groucho
It's
Marx,
very cartoony.
greatest comedian
Yeah,
ever lived.
the movie posters were done before. They used to all be art. This is my favorite one. Sorry,
Is that Groucho in the middle?
yeah, Groucho.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Chico's on top.
Okay, yeah.
Chico. And Harpo at the bottom. No Zeppo. Zeppo's not making the cut.
I
That's better
refuse
than
to
my
belong to
idea,
any
which
club
was
that have
if you want to put comedy and music, you could have put the notes for da 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 da.
couple
Thank
years
God
back.
I listen to you, but I do want your advice. What do you think of it, guys?
I don't have advice, but a couple of years back, I was at a Dragon Boat team end of season party, and I looked at the team captain, the guy who ran all the money for the party, and I said, "That's the best tasting pickle I ever heard." And he goes, "What?" I go, "That's Groucho Marx. That's the Groucho Marx, the Vlasic pickle thing." And he goes, "Who's Groucho Marx?" I'm like,
Oh yeah,
I'm not that much older than you. Like, how do you not know this?
I had to look him up when I was like 35. I was like, "Who's this person that all my favorite comedians keep on talking about?" And I did.
Really?
And, of course. Well, yeah. I'm not an expert, right? Like, I love stand-up comedy. Don't get me wrong. My favorites are like Richard Pryor and I know who I like, George Carlin and all that shit. Like, I think I like good comedians. But no, I had to look up Groucho Marx, and I had to look up Sam Kinison too. And then I remembered who he was once I looked him up. But this is like 10 years ago. I wanted to just become more well-versed on good comedy legends. Go ahead, Spenny.
I watched Sam today on YouTube. I just happened to see it. So wait a sec. So Paul, you're not okay. Forget advice. I want to know your thoughts on that particular tattoo.
Get it?
Okay,
Make it happen. Do it.
My first instinct was that I didn't like it, but I think that I like the idea of getting those guys. That image looked a little too youthy or cartoony for me. But if Groucho Marx, if his picture was sitting there, and it was definitely him, but there was some sort of shadowing that made it look a little bit more deep, or like edgy or dark or something.
I love the colors. And they were a very cartoony act when you think about it. So it's an actual movie poster.
I might be pricking what I would put on my body, but I
get it.
I think that would suit you.
No, get it.
I don't have any tattoos though. I'm afraid. I'm too afraid to get a tattoo.
Get it. Look,
Really?
I got
James,
I don't want to regret it.
I got that the day I turned 30.
what the fuck is it?
It means strength. I looked it up.
I thought it was a bullet wound.
No,
I thought you were like got a tattoo of a bullet wound.
I've not been shot.
I thought it was a Hebrew. I thought it was a Hebrew letter. I really did.
No. And it's close. It's close.
Once
It means strength.
once the beard covers it up, you're fully Jewish.
It would have worked with the Jufro.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, so I got it the day I turned 30 because when I was very young, I was checked into a cancer ward because I had what at the time was stage 1. In 1978, stage 1, pretty serious shit. Today it's like, yeah, here's a shot. Go the fuck home. You're fine. But back then it was, touch and go. And I remember my doctor, who had zero bedside manner. He was a very good doctor, very intelligent, but he had no personality whatsoever. And I remember my mother saying, "It's like he doesn't have a bedside manner," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of afraid of him." But that being said, he did save my life. I'm sure he's long since dead because he was in his 60s at that time, and that was in 1979. So,
if I had a swingers club,
it was cancer.
If I had like a weekend swingers getaway spot, I would call it the Bedside Manor.
It's a pretty good name.
I would.
Not gonna lie. And I can joke about it because I'm still fucking here. But
Yeah, but you're a buzzkill, man. The whole show now, everybody's depressed. But anyway,
no,
I'm not depressed.
not at all, not at all, not at all. We talk about this all the time, and it was like that. That was my crack moment where I just, that was when I went into depression, and here I am now, happy and thriving.
With me, once I found out I was going to live, then I'd get depressed.
Well, no.
Now I got to deal with all this shit in my own life again.
I had it out. I was going to be on heroin for 2 weeks and goodbye.
Think of all the attention I would have gotten.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
Okay, that's fucking awesome.
I'm happy you were happy.
Well, and Jewish people, when they die, they're not allowed to get cremated either. I learned that from watching that show Hunters that I'm watching, which I totally recommend to every single human being. It's such an amazing show.
Story. My mother was cremated. She was Jewish-ish, but that not religious at all. I've got her ashes right there, and I picked them up from my uncle when I was on the road, and I left her in my manager's car. He was. So I had to call him. I said, "Can you please return my mother?" You have to turn around a half hour down the back.
Bro,
shit.
I know.
That is so worse.
How often do you travel with your parents' ashes? You just forget. I grabbed my guitar and my knapsack, and away I went. I forgot it.
I'm lucky enough to not have to ever think about or do that yet. My dad is 82, fit as a fiddle.
That's amazing.
My mom is 76, and she's awesome. So I'm incredibly blessed. I don't take it for granted that my parents are very healthy and very much alive. I don't. I go see them every weekend. They live 20 minutes from here, so I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I didn't go see them last weekend because, you need to have money to put gas in the tank to get drive.
I want to be a smartass about you having good parents, but then I don't because.
Where do you live? Where does Paul live?
I'm in downtown Ottawa. I'm in Centertown, dude. Really? I'm the blue jacket guy from the fucking convoy. That shit took place outside my front door.
Wow. I guess you weren't broadcasting during that.
No, God, no.
He was broadcast. You could hear him for miles.
I was screaming.
So, anyway, so that's a tattoo. I'm going to get it. I'm excited.
Awesome.
I don't think I'm going to regret it. I think I'm going to be so happy once it's done because then all the agonizing over the years of getting a tattoo will be over. It'll be.
Who
done.
are you using to get it?
A great guy. His name is Jay.
It's going to hurt like a motherfucker.
No, it's not. Why? There's no bone here.
Yeah, but they encourage drinking.
It's really
tattoo
painful.
Artists, don't they?
I've never had one.
Look. I've had beer bottles smashed in my face. I've had spinal taps. I've had all kinds of surgeries done on me. The thing is, with a tattoo, what happens is it's like, so say if somebody broke a bottle over your head, it's very quick, and then the pain diminishes. A tattoo, it's like, hi, this pain comes in at 9, and then it goes to 10, and it stays there for 45 minutes. It doesn't diminish.
Paul, you are really a wet blanket, man. I'm happy about my fucking tattoo. You know what? I'll take some.
I want you to be happy. I want you to get it, but you might have to do it in a couple of sessions. This little thing right here that I got.
Yeah.
Right?
We see it.
30 minutes.
Kind of looks like it's a sticker, to be honest. Oh, like
It took 30 minutes and it hurt like freaking hell. I could not believe the pain, and I've had beer bottles smashed in my face.
Sound, please.
I've been in car accidents. I've had multiple concussions as a goaltender in hockey. That hurt way more.
Those are all very quick things, though. Like this is a prolonged. Well,
that's
event,
what I'm getting at.
Right?
It's like bang, and then the pain diminishes. Whereas with a tattoo, it's like it goes to 10 right away, and it stays.
So in other words, Paul, you support my getting a tattoo, but you want to make sure that I'm completely terrified.
That's right.
Well, I want you to know what you're walking into.
You came to the right place, Spenny. I'm like, this is a shitty tattoo, and it's going to hurt. I'd regret it. And Paul's like, you should be very afraid, my friend. You should be very afraid.
I want you to be prepared for the pain that you're going to feel because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
If given the choice between a tattoo and my foreskin back, I would take my foreskin back before I get a tattoo.
I get it. That's going to hurt.
Dude, my foreskin was gone I don't remember it.
I want it back. I don't understand. Like, honestly, there should be class action lawsuits for till the end of time for all these poor saps that had to get their shit cut because of belief in a god.
I am a Jew that is completely in agreement with you.
I'm Catholic. Apparently, my staunch atheism.
Verbal altercations with other Jews who think I'm a sellout and this and that, whatever. It makes absolutely no sense.
I want it back.
Well,
It's
I'm
religion.
gonna go out on a limb and say it's made me a better lover.
Why? Because you don't come so quick. Because it's not as sensitive, right?
Well, I don't feel like a goddamn thing. So it's like no. Are you okay? You okay? Okay, so we can go for a little longer. Longer?
Your sexual humble brags are the greatest. They're so funny.
Well, it's because it's
just the truth, James.
If you don't feel anything, how do you get aroused to begin with?
Well, I get aroused when
why don't you feel anything?
Because the nerve endings are gone. Like they're not there.
What did you do?
You got circumcised.
I got circumcised.
Oh, right, I'm circumcised. Yeah, okay. So I was confused there for a second. Yeah. I'm with you. When I was told that, like, when it was described to you the difference between the sensation of a circumcised penis and an uncircumcised penis, I am the most jealous man in the world. I'm like, really? You mean it's not just like a very specific? It's like having a clit.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's like that one spot
that's
right,
the area, the general
like
area.
right there that you have to get right there, like that one spot. No. It's all over. What? Really? Is that a thing?
There's a word for that thing you're pointing to. I don't know.
It's like
called?
right there. It's called the frenulum.
Thank you, frenulum. That's it.
I don't. How would I know? I don't have it. It's gone.
No, you do.
Oh, I do. Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know my own anatomy. Thank you, Ontario schools.
By the way, the pilot of my, I guess you'd call it a failed series, though I had a blast. Single White Spenny. The pilot was an episode story that I wrote, which was based on a Penn and Teller. Do you remember their show Bullshit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, brilliant show.
Yeah.
Brilliant
So they did one on circumcision, which was unbelievable. And it had men that were upset that they were circumcised when they were young.
That's right.
So they had developed a system of weights that they put on their penis, which folds
weird.
And it goes back into a foreskin.
I know someone who did that. He used to answer the door like that. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
He did it for like 2 years, and he said he gained like a 1/4 inch length and some girth and some sensitivity after like a year. I was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay." But literally, I had a guy come in from LA to shoot this footage for this documentary that I did, and I was like, "We have to go to Joey's house because he did the all the music for the stuff." And so I called Joey, and we go to this house, and he just opens the door. He's like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" And he's got like 10 pounds of weights hanging off his dick, and he just walks gingerly. And he turns around, his hands are on his hips, and he's like, "What? I told you I was doing this. I'm not just going to stop because you have a fucking guest."
So the premise of my story in the pilot of the sitcom was I go to a bris. You know what a bris is?
Yeah.
And when they cut the penis, I faint and I hit my head. So I end up at the hospital. And when I get at the hospital, the hottest nurse you've ever seen is taking care of me. And when I tell her I was at a bris and she's, helping my head because I got contusions on my head from falling and fainting.
Then she gets mad.
When I tell her I'm at a bris, she talks about how absolutely horrible she thinks circumcision is. And I can't believe people do that. And then I ask her out and she says, you're not circumcised, are you? And I lie. And I said, no, because I want to get some pee. And then the whole episode is me trying to, in 1 week, grow a foreskin back.
Okay, that's
for our date.
That's a good show. I want to watch
Chia
that
Pet
show.
stuff on it just to
David
see.
David Steinberg directed that particular episode. So it is a good one.
And a brilliant director, brilliant comedian, brilliant Canadian, David Steinberg. Love that guy.
Great title for a show, by the way.
Single White Spenny?
Yeah, I like it.
James, do you remember the David Steinberg show?
No.
Yes, I do.
I know Spenny, you do, because we're close to the same age. I'm 54, so you must be.
I'm a lot younger than you guys.
You know that Steinberg got the Smothers Brothers show canceled? Yeah.
Yeah, I do know that. I do.
Why
know
did that? Why did? Thank you, by the way, David. But why?
Because Steinberg used to do a lot of comedy around religion.
Oh,
He called them the preaching, or I can't remember what the word is, sermons, I think.
okay.
And they were very funny, whatever. And he did it once on the show, and he got a lot of heat. This one, his brothers from the network saying
Yeah.
you can't do that. They invited Steinberg back, and Steinberg did it again, even though he knew he wasn't supposed to, and they lost the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it a live show?
Probably not.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, it was live to tape, but
Live tape, yeah.
yeah. Like so they didn't edit a lot out of those shows. They showed basically what they recorded.
Right.
They don't do a lot of live. Like it was like Saturday Night Live. You can't do that on television. I don't know how much of Kids in the Hall might have been
None
sort
of
of
it.
uncut.
No, that was all.
Okay.
That was all. None of that was live.
Are we
The
surprised
show,
that like
shows was live. Sid Caesar, I believe, was live. Am I right or
Oh
wrong?
yeah.
Yeah.
is it just because networks are like way too risky? You can't fucking do it. Because I think that the mistakes would actually be the key selling point to something live if you did it right. Like if you could nail it without mistakes, awesome. And then if you made mistakes, haha, like it's almost like a live blooper reel or something. Like you
Well,
can
it
make it
depends
work.
what you're doing. If it's a comedy, yes, it could work. Drama couldn't work if there was
No.
No.
Yeah.
And
No.
so occasionally they've done like live drama stuff in the last 40 years. Not a lot. Like in the 50s and 60s, it was live because tape didn't exist, right? But in the 80s, it was like no. And then I remember there was a show. I don't recall the title of the program, but it was about a individual who was on death row, and he was executed live on television. Now it was a uh,
Drama.
it was a drama, of course, but I think they executed him via injection prior to that actually being a thing in the U.S. Because most of the time back then it was like an electric chair or some other thing, and it was like 83 or 84 when they showed this, and I remember watching this, and it was a live show, and the individual who played the part of the convict, whose name escapes me right now. I can't remember. However, it was very. The whole point of the program was to drive home the fact that yes, this person did a terrible thing, but are we doing the right thing by doing this and killing them? And they showed how he was on his. They strapped him into the bed, and everybody was in the audience and the gallery, and I remember watching this thinking like, wow, this is heavy duty stuff. And it might have been 1984, 85. And it kind of changed my view on capital punishment. Because up to that point, I was kind of like, well, if you take a life for life and blah, 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 blah. But at that point, I was like, no, that's wrong. You shouldn't do this. Maybe rehabilitate this person if you could.
Well, what about? It's funny you say that. I just watched a program on the BTK, the bind
Torture.
Yeah.
You know that guy.
And a
I
Canadian
think
band.
if he gets the death penalty, but I agree with you. There's so many mistakes in the system, and there's so many bad cops and prosecutors. I agree with you, but there's some people I wouldn't care.
I think capital punishment should be reserved for like the serial killers and the child killers, but it has to be cases that are like it is impossible that he's not guilty. It has to be those cases only.
Right.
And are you surprised, guys, that there hasn't been a governor, or Spenny, I guess, because Paul just left abruptly, but that there hasn't been some crazy wacko governor in the United States that hasn't decided to televise an execution yet? I'm surprised.
Well,
given the people that govern in the United States.
They're talking about having problems with cameras in Congress, so they're a long way from that, as far as I can tell. But yeah, I mean, there's some people that I could see. You're right. It's slightly. I never thought about it, but yeah, it's a little bit surprising. It's pretty crazy though, because where would you air it? Kids could watch it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of.
You've recently decided to drop talking politics on Twitter. Why is
Yeah.
that?
Yes. And I have no problems with people that do. It's not a judgment against anyone. I love doing it. I'm having withdrawals from not doing it. I just find that, what are the odds that I'm going to, communicate with someone or make a post that's going to change anybody's mind? And, obviously I'm left of center and I hate Donald Trump. It's just never going to happen. So then what am I doing? At that point, what am I doing? I'm just, it's like a masturbatory thing. Still fascinated with politics. I talk politics on a show like this and Dean's show or whatever. But in terms of social media, it just, and I'm a comedian basically. So, I'd rather be funny and do what I do. Since I don't realize I don't make it, the only important thing is voting as far as I can tell with for me personally. But I love politics.
I think if you wanted to, I think I know you could do this if you wanted to, but I think you could probably find a way to do really, really awesome micro content about politics, not like Brittle Star, but in a very signature style, the way that he has his signature style. I think you could do some sort of like neurotic monologue about a really important issue and make it funny. I think that I'd watch that.
I probably could, and I've tried it. I did a thing where I've got a YouTube channel I'm launching because I lost my last one. They canceled it, so now I'm trying a new one. And I did some stuff where I would projected behind me would be a tweet by any number of right wing people that I despise, and I would do something comedic about it and very aggressive in terms of my my feelings about what they had tweeted or whatever. And it's just I don't know. I just don't think that's the direction I want to go personally. Because
you're smart. I think you're smart. If it stresses you out, dude, like you can, you've talked about it before and how frustrating it is. And the worst part about Twitter is that the secret to Twitter is never letting it bother you, which means the best part about Twitter is the worst part about Twitter, because in a way you're just allowing the bullshit to happen and unfettered, right?
So I'm not even sure that's it with me. Like I love doing it, and I see so many opportunities when I'm on Twitter to make a smart aleck political remark or an aggressive, insulting remark. So it's really not that. It's just the pointlessness of it. That at the end of the day, it's just me saying what my political beliefs are, and what I liked about it initially was engaging with people in the comment section. Yeah. And when I realized what a absolute waste of time that is, and then the bots, it can be. That. So I haven't changed my politics. I'm still fascinated. I'm watching the news and reading papers and do all the things that I always do. I'm just sort of putting it on the side burner in terms of social media.
So I know that Douglas and I would love to have you as an interview guest at some point in time on our show, because you're in the public eye much more than we are. We're like just a couple of dudes who nobody knows who we are. But you've done touring about North America.
Yeah.
And you've done prostate exams on a lot of people.
That's one thing I'm just like, wow. Salute for having the gumption to
yeah.
It's not, well, let me just talk about the prostate exams. It's pretty much the most astounding moment of our live show when it happens.
And, just the warmth that you'll feel. Oh God!
If I'm wearing a rubber glove, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I'm getting paid, a decent amount of money.
Right.
And if that's
it's not me making contact, right? It's like the rubber glove. It's not actually me, right?
What I say is, I'd stick my head up an elephant's ass if I had rubber around it and there was a payday at the end. Like, I really don't care, and that's just me. But
that is just you.
I wanted to do the final one, right? The final fingering, because you can't keep doing the same stuff over and over again. And I wanted the final one to be like some Mounties come out with like the rubber gloves and the lube on some kind of tray, and it was like a big national thing. And we never did that, obviously. But I did what I thought was the final one. And a week or two later, Kenny called me and he said, I think you got to keep doing it. It's good. And And initially, by the way, I spenified it, right. Is that if I was going to do that, then I'm going to turn it into a prostate cancer,
Which is a
thing.
good thing, right?
Oh, that's good.
Good thing.
Except now they can test for this things without having an invasive digital exam. So
Yes,
then it really.
I know.
So now it's just like, okay, now we're at the figuring part of the show. Who wants to come up? And I thought no one would ever come up and we came up with the idea. And I think in somewhere out east, I had 6 guys. I just went down the row, boom, 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 boom. Like
Did you do 2 at once ever?
Pardon?
Did you ever do 2 at once?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really? Dude, if you were Shaq, you could do like 4 at once. You know what I'm saying? If you were Shaquille O'Neal, Spenny, you could do like 4 or 5 people at once. Like that would be amazing.
Have either of you gentlemen seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Is that a show?
No.
It's a film that just won a Golden Globe Award for Michelle Yeoh.
I thought it was a philosophical question. Okay.
No. It's a film. Michelle Yeoh, you know who she is, right?
Nope.
Really?
No,
Crazy Rich Asians. She
Heard
was a
of
blonde girl. Super Cop. I the first time I saw her in Super Cop, a Jackie Chan film, 1993.
What's her name?
Oh my goodness, Michelle Yeoh. Yeoh.
Can I just say something? 1 second. James was talking about TV. Never seen any of this stuff. I find that I meet a lot of people who are just as into television as I am, but just watch different stuff. So, like, I've never seen that one out of Korea. What was it? The Death Games or whatever it was called?
Yeah. Squid Games. Yeah.
Oh, Spenny, you'll see her picture and you'll be like, oh, that person.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
You'll
she's
recognize her
like
right
so,
away.
yeah.
So she won a Golden Globe last night or the night before or whatever the hell it was. She won a Golden Globe for this role. And I have had a non-sexual crush on her for 20 plus years because she's like a badass actor, performer, artist. And I completely forgot where I was going with this.
Yeah.
Why do you want to bang her?
No, we were talking about fingering people with giant fingers at the same time, and then we pivoted.
Thank you, James.
Oh,
Thank
no
you,
problem.
James.
I'm glad that cleared it up. Go ahead.
You went out of your way to say that you have a non-sexual crush on her. And
That's right. Humble brag. That's another humble brag. That's the 4th humble brag so far this episode.
Why non-sexual?
Well, because I'll never ever meet her. She's married and she's a beautiful woman that I would like to just have a drink with. But there is a scene.
Wait a sec. But just on a fantasy, would you bang her if you could? Forget that she's married and no one would know.
Oh, he doesn't use the word bang, Spenny. Would he make love to her like a million titans?
No, it's
nestling
okay.
a bluebird?
Mind-boggling to me. I don't even know what she looks like.
No, that's not in
So
my.
Okay, fair enough.
So anyway, there's a scene in the film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, where she is, her partner is Jamie Lee Curtis. And literally it's Jamie Lee Curtis, and they have hot dog fingers.
Okay.
Gigantic hot dog
weirdly
fingers.
Hot.
And that's where I leave it. You got to watch the film because it's like.
Yes, I do.
That's another thing I'm kind of well known for. Hot dog up the butt.
Yeah.
On the Christmas story, I did a candy cane up my butt.
Imagine how quick the sequel would be if it was they meet Edward Scissorhands. It's like a 3-minute movie.
It's all in the same circle, right? It's all in that same circle.
The sphincter. That circle.
Isn't that ironic or coincidental that they're made of anuses and the ends of it looks like an anus? Isn't that kind of funny?
Well, you know.
It's anus. Anus.
Maybe that's just advertising. Maybe that's just clever experiential advertising or marketing that they're doing to us.
Wasn't that from the
Okay, can I say some shows? I watched the Welcome to Chippendales on I think it was Disney Plus.
Holy shit, that's good.
Yeah, it was great. Yep.
Is Keneal, he is amazing in that role because he disappears into the character.
Oh, he was great. And by the way, I loved it because I of course have heard of Chippendales.
Yeah.
But I had no idea about any of the backstory. So
neither did I. I was like, what?
Can I ask what the fuck you guys were talking about for a second? What do you
know what Chippendales is?
No.
It's a male
I know the stripper thing from the 80s where everyone looked like Tom Selleck with the fro.
Yeah, that's what it is. This is a series with actors but based on the story of how Chippendales became Chippendales and what
Oh.
happened, the aftermath of it. That's all I'll tell you. But it's fast. It's great.
I thought it was this gigantic corporate thing, right? Because it was presented as that. And
Yeah.
then I watched this series and I'm like, holy shit.
I know, it's a crazy story.
It's and Camille Nanjiani is the actor who plays it. He disappears into the role.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's so good in it. He's so good.
I recommend a Spenny recommendation on that. And I'm mostly into documentaries. I think I've told you that, James. That's my thing, docs.
Yeah, you did.
I'm bad ones. I don't care. I'll watch a doc any day.
That's a great show.
I hate watching series to the point where I miss probably a lot. But I hate it when they jump the shark. I just, it bothers me when things jump the shark.
It's only like 6 episodes. There's no opportunity.
Oh, good. I just had the F is for Family guys on a few days ago. The writers for F is for Family, and Michael Price, who's an executive producer for The Simpsons and a writer for The Simpsons for like the last 20 years. And it was really neat talking to writers. Spenny, you'll probably really appreciate this because the work that you've done throughout your career, but like the way that they talk about the writing room and how all these people, like, writers have egos for their own work, right? And then they have to go into this environment where they have to just get rid of it. And the ideas that come out of it, no one takes real ownership over anything specific because it's the conversation itself that creates the ideas. And I really think that that's a neat, like, work environment. And I'm kind of jealous that I've never had one like that. Like,
Bill Maher, whatever you think of him,
I love Bill Maher.
Heard him talk about how much he loved that his life was blessed because he had a writer's room. I mean, you get a bunch of funny people together who are smart, and it's I've never been in a writer's room, like a real writer's room, or participated in a writer's room with more than one other person with me writing. So I don't really know, but I can imagine it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to. I wish I had a time machine sometimes and go back and like put my career in one specific direction, but I guess it's never too late. But like, it was really, I got goosebumps just as a writer, just as a person who's like trying different things right now, writing content. I have a book publishing thing that I have, and it's great. But like, yeah, I've never experienced that. I always looked at writing as like a really solo operation. Like almost like a fuck off kind of operation.
Well, it is like that when they're on set, right? But the writers, my cousin Marjorie, who's my hero, she wrote for Seinfeld. She wrote for Larry Sanders. She wrote for Square Pegs for the Bob Newhart show.
Square Pegs, holy shit.
Yeah,
dude.
she's like your hero in a lot of ways, right?
Pardon?
She was your hero in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, always will be. Yeah, she's
yeah.
the reason I got into the whole business. Her and her brother, but basically her. And so I heard a lot of the politics of the writers' room. That her writing partner on Seinfeld was she's also a famous comedian. I can't think of her name now. God damn it! But anyway, she was a stand-up as well. Marjorie was a stand-up. But I never got to that point in my career where I was in a big sitcom that had amazing writers in a room pitching stories, and
Yeah, it just sounds exactly what I would like to do. I did an acting class once, and it was fucking awesome. Like, it was so amazing. And I think I was like 35 or something at the time. And no, I was younger. I was like 30. But it was nothing like I ever expected, and it put me in my place. Like, I went in there thinking like, oh, this will be fun, you know what I mean? Like, and the guy, I knew the teacher. He was actually and remains a good friend of mine. His name is Troy Skog. He's an actor and an acting coach, and he was like, listen, you're gonna find your truth in this class, and you're going to like,
Right.
tears might fall. Yeah, tears might fall and everything. And I'm like, whatever. And in my head, I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I was sort of leaving myself open to it, but I was very cynical, and there was a part of me that was never going to not go whatever. And even though I was the last guy that went up, after watching 10 or 11 people completely like lose their shit and break down, I was the last dude. I still went up, and I was like, and it took like less than a minute, and he broke me. He fucking broke me, and I was just like, holy shit. And it made me
Yep.
so. First of all, it made me really confused that a lot of people that I know, like that act, are not amazingly intelligent people, but they're able to get themselves there really quickly. Like it's not a craft that you need to be like a high IQ necessarily, although there are many of those as well. But you know, to find your truth in a room full of crew members and cameras and stuff like that. I have real respect for that. I don't know.
I've always had tremendous respect for actors in general, but
Oh
great
yeah,
actors
yeah.
are amazing. But the whole thing with television and film, when you really think about it and break it down, and I've been a part of the process in many different ways, it is a true team sport at its best. Like it really is. Like you have one weak link. It could be an editor or a cameraman or a lighting
And
director.
done.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah,
It's finished. Yeah.
yeah, and it's because I remember this week I somehow I got involved with an argument on Twitter about show business, about Canadian entertainment and government money going towards entertainment that it shouldn't go. Some conservative douchebag, oh, we should,
Of course.
yeah, and I love the industry. I love it. It's to the point where I'm getting the Marx Brothers tattooed on my arm, and it's very hard. People don't realize how difficult it is to do something great.
I think they should change the government system. I think there should, and I mean this. I think there should be a big grant fund that goes to individuals looking to make like a series or a film. Let's just use those as the examples. And they put out their sizzle reel and or trailer before they go into production, and people pick it. People look at the work and they're like, "This would be dope. This would be dope." And you can't manipulate it. I don't know how they would do it. Whatever they find a way
That sounds horrible to me.
No,
I'll
it
tell
doesn't
you
because
why.
the same fucking four people get the grants all the time.
Well, no,
right?
but what people are going to judge it? Who's
I
going
don't
to
know.
judge?
I don't know. Figure it out. But and don't put your name on it either. Like seriously, like I don't think people should put their name on. I don't think people.
I went through a situation. I created a kid show. I got the pilot shot, and then they were going to make a decision on whether it was going to go to series. I'm not going to name the network, and I'm not going to name anybody. But they
CBC.
took it to market research, which is kind of what you're
CBC.
talking about, and it was a disaster for me. I mean, they didn't. The network didn't pick up the show based on the notes from the market research, which was a bunch of kids because it was a kid show.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not saying it was a great show or but I just saw the process how it can go sideways very easily.
I had a show greenlit. I'll say the network. It was CBC, and but they changed executives were swapped in and out for whatever division, for the kids division, because it was also a kids show. And they axed every single pick that the previous executive picked, and I was just like, okay, great.
That's exactly the way people who I assume Paul knows a bit about show business. He seems very sophisticated.
Little bit.
The average person has no clue what.
Oh.
No.
What? Forget
It's
this.
so twisted.
What do you think is good about the grant system and the way that like everything seems to go to certain producers and certain
That I don't
directors?
know. That I'm not going to comment on because I don't know. But what I will say is that without the government assistance, there would be no Canadian film industry. And I want there
Correct.
to be. So
Correct.
that's what
And not only that, but the money that's directed to the arts in this country, it's really skewed, like terribly, horribly skewed. And a friend of mine, we had a conversation one night about pre-pandemic. I was at a Christmas party pre-pandemic, and when I was shooting the shit, having a conversation, and blah 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 blah, you know how it goes at a party, and he says, "Guys, you don't understand. There's no big money for us to do what we do in Canada." I'm like, "What do you mean? You don't? There's like literally there's like no fund that funnels money to you to produce content." He goes, "No, like none." He goes, "I'm lucky. I have family money. I'm able to open up this nightclub here in downtown Ottawa on Elgin Street where I can produce, live shows. We do 9 different things every week, and I'm lucky enough to have that. But for the most part, there's no programs that will help us out To which I was shocked out of my mind because I always thought, we're this grand, glorious nation where we would provide for each other and help each other out and provide for the arts. But that's not really
Well,
the
listen,
case.
I think it's not the amount of money that is provided by the government towards the arts. It's where it goes. Like it really. I lived in the annex years and years ago, next door to a harpist, and while she did play beautiful music, she got like 80 grand. Okay, to
Holy
like
shit.
make this was like in early 2000s or something, and she got
Lot
like
of money.
80 grand to write a book and do an album. And like a year later, like after the album had been out or whatever, I was like, "How many copies did you sell?" She's like, 1,200.
Oh,
How many
damn.
copies of the book? I don't know, 180. Fucking 80
Ouch.
grand we gave. So I don't think sometimes the money's directed in a very smart direction, but I don't disagree with the money existing. I think that's where
Well, no,
That's exactly where I stand, basically.
Yeah.
I want the money to be there. Don't get me wrong. I want the money to be there. I just wish it was like, I don't know, distributed better. How do we do that? I don't know. I don't know.
Kenny versus Spenny was on Comedy Central, and though it was a co-production with Canada putting in some money as well, but living in LA and being on the air there, I got to see the American machine of show business, and it's just not. I'm not saying one's better or worse, but it's not Canada. It's a different.
One's better.
Ball
Come
game,
on.
completely different resources, completely different everything. And
Well, I mean, let's look at
I don't
Alan.
want to live. One sec. I don't want to live in a world where, for a Canadian artist, they have to go and make it in LA.
But do you know what makes
Agreed.
it? Do you know what
Agreed.
makes it kind of? Do you know what makes it kind of sad? Actually, is that all the great, it's like what, one out of three really big movies is probably shot in Toronto, something like that, at least, and so you can tell and everything. What's sad is that it's Canadians that are really working on that. Like the crew are all Canadians.
Yeah, they are.
But then when the Canadian production happens in the exact same location with the exact same people, a lot of times, it's garbage because I guess they don't have the money for to make it look better.
I hate to say this. I hate to say this, but what you're saying is that the crews are all Canadian, but what they call in the business the above the line talent, which is editors.
I'm
actors,
saying less money is what I'm saying. I'm just saying less money
Yeah,
is yeah. It could be the same people, and they're making whatever they're making. That's fine. But I don't know. I'm not well versed enough to know if it's less money on the front or back end of production. But when you see the finished product, you're like, oh, Canadian. You can tell it's Canadian sometimes when you just turn the channel. You're like, oh, it's Canadian.
But here's the thing: because we don't have an infrastructure like they do in the States. So the directors and the actors, they're performing different kinds of work at a very high level. We don't have that here, really. So that's why I think you're looking at the same way. It's like it's the same crew, but all the above the line is Canadian. It's not as good. And I just think we just have to do what we do. You know what I mean? We can't compare ourselves to the United States in that regard. And some people would not even want to. Which is, I get that too, but we have to, look at any film from Denmark or any socialist country. It's a different kind, and even the UK. I mean, it's just a different, you adapt to what you have, what you can work with,
Why have that dick measuring contest? Because quite frankly, if no, dude, if we're gonna have that, we're gonna win.
You're going to win, Paul, from what I heard earlier.
No, it's not about me.
You guys thought of that. Sorry, go on.
James Cameron is the biggest filmmaker in the world, right?
Yeah.
And he absolutely 100% is 100% Canadian. Mm. He does not have a U.S. citizenship. And every time he's been offered to him, he's like, no, fuck you. I'm Canadian. I will always be Canadian. I will die Canadian. That's it. That's all. Period. And what has he done? Oh, I don't know. Avatar 2, Titanic, German. He's fundamentally changed how filmmaking is made.
Well, there's no question.
But he didn't do it here.
But wait a sec. Look at music. Look at comedy. Canadians are incredibly well represented.
We rule it.
Yeah, I don't know that, but we're like way up there with anybody else. The thing is that they go, Cameron can't make his movies here. They don't have the infrastructure and the apparatus and the
Agreed.
promotional machine
And the
everything.
population,
What?
and the population,
And the
like,
money. Let's be honest. The money.
Well, all of that is true. And remember this. This is really important. In the last 12 years, the top 10 artists on the Billboard record charts for the last 12 years have been Canadian. All of them.
Drake, Justin Bieber.
So yeah, it
Weeknd.
goes on and on.
All of them.
We're talking.
All of them.
They're two different conversations.
Agreed.
Canadians are extremely talented in
just don't
every.
have the money.
I don't care if you're news broadcasting. Peter Jennings, go on and on and on and on. We're at the top tier of that. But if you're going to stay in Canada and
you don't have the
produce
cash.
your work, it's just going to be different. It's going to be less money. It's going to be less promotion. It's going to be less, and that's okay too. It's not even,
Look,
thank
the
God
most
we have that
expensive
option.
Canadian film ever made was Passchendaele, right?
Yeah,
At the time.
World War One. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Paul Gross.
Like, you mean about a Canadian story or a Canadian production?
Both.
There's
Wasn't
been
Crash
great Canadian
technically a
movies coming out
Canadian
of
film?
Canada. Really great stuff that I've seen. I can never remember the names of them, but just amazing work. But guys, I got to go. James,
Yeah,
I'm so
I knew that. Sorry. Yep, I was about to say. Spenny,
Dude, thanks for coming out.
Call me,
Thank you so much.
Paul. Call me. Yeah, you're welcome, James. Pleasure. Happy casual Friday.
thank you.
I've got kids I got to deal with, and love you guys.
Love you too, man.
Love
Thanks,
you,
Spenny.
brother.
Bye.
Take care.
That was Spenny. I love Spenny.
Oh, what an awesome dude, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, he's great.
fucking, not only is he globally famous and like this incredible actor, and, comedian and all the bit, but he just wants to hang out. He's
Yeah.
just a
He's
good
like a friend
Canadian
of the
fella.
show now too. He's been on enough. Like, he's been on a bunch of times now, and it's,
Oh, yeah.
he's always fun to talk to. He's always himself. Talk to him off air. He's just the same guy, right?
Same guy.
He's just,
Same guy,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a good cat. It's great. Casual Friday. No one's taken up on the link that I sent. Which is fine by me. I just sent it into the comments. I hadn't planned on anyone else coming on the show at all. When Ryan's here, he has his like thingamajiggy, and
I got it. I
you
have
one of those
the same thingy.
thingamajiggies?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
I
okay.
do.
I'm gonna. My buddy's. He wanted to meet Spenny, but now Spenny's gone, and I think he's about to. He's about to pop on.
Poor fella.
Yeah, he was the cat that like reminded me of Spenny. And when I would watch it, I would look at Spenny, look at him, I'm like, he's just like you. Because when the whole Madison Square Garden story, that's who I was with, and the whole time he's like, Jamie, what are you doing? What are you doing? Jamie, oh fuck! But he'd still follow. Right? He would follow all the time. Do you have any stories like that where you snuck into anything?
Yeah, a lot. Like a lot of those.
Yeah, give me those. I used to love. It was such an accomplishment. I snuck into the Toronto airport's baggage area once. Like, I just like walked through the doors with the security guards that you couldn't walk through, and someone walked towards me, the doors open, and I just slithered kind of through, and I stand beside my buddy who's waiting for his bag to come on the carousel, and he's really tall, he's like 6'5" or whatever, and he looks down and he's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, hey man, he's like, how the fuck did you get in here? I'm like, I just got past the guard and went through the door I wasn't supposed to go through. And it was like 2014. It wasn't like it was like pre 9/11 world or whatever. But I like doing that shit. I don't know. I like going where I'm not supposed to go.
I've got a good story.
Yeah.
This is back in the 90s. Okay, so like 100 years ago for it maybe Gen Z who might be watching. I decided I'm going to take a couple of weeks off work and do some traveling. And a friend of mine at the time who lived here in Ottawa was a lovely young Russian woman who literally moved here from St. Petersburg, and she grew up in the Soviet era. So one day we're having a conversation, and I'm like, "Hey, Alina, tell me, what was it like to grow up under Soviet Russia?" She goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I'm a Westerner. I don't understand what you may have please explain. She goes, so, yeah, I grew up in St. Petersburg, and my parents were both artists who lived in the underground. They were bohemians. They smoked a lot of pot, and they listened to rock and roll, and they made pictures. I'm like, what? That
That sounds awful.
this is what the this is what I yeah. I'm
She
like,
probably slept in a fucking pillowcase, you know?
I wanted like this sort of this hoveled, horrible. I lived under the Russian Soviet regime, and it was all this. No, she's like, my parents were bohemians. I don't know.
Yeah, ramen
Some
noodles, you know? Like, come on, man.
not
It wasn't a
she
good
had no
existence.
fucking
Nutrition?
idea.
She had
No idea.
nutrition?
No idea.
When I was a kid, dude, I thought, I swear to God, I thought this. I thought that the communist, I think I was always thinking of Russia because it was a
Yeah.
communist country. I thought that when you went there, everything was in black and white.
Oh no. That's not an outlandish thought.
It isn't?
Same
Oh,
thing.
good-
No.
good to know.
Same thing. I remember saying to my mother at one point, I was, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, whatever it was. I'm like, what? So mom, like, things weren't black and white back then? She goes, what? What? Huh? What the hell are you talking about? I'm like, well, everything I watched on TV and the movies, and I thought the 1950s were in black and white because I was a dumb kid, and how would I know any different?
I think it's kind of interesting now. Like, it'd be a good movie concept, too. We have a special guest, straight out of the chat overlay.
Hello.
Hello, Danielle. Danielle, what's your last name?
Hi,
I forget
friend.
your last
How are
name.
you?
Pardon?
Oh, wait.
Baker.
Danielle. Oh,
Danielle
good.
Baker,
Hey,
are you
Danielle
on
Baker.
a tablet or Safari?
Oh God, is it a problem? Yes, I am.
Yep.
No, actually, it's
Nope,
not
it's a
too
problem.
bad, actually.
I can already tell. No. She already went in and out. Do you have a different device or a different browser?
I can.
You shall.
You're going to give the boot.
Joe.
I'm gonna,
We have
Hey,
another
what's
guest. His name's Joe. Hi, Joe. How are you, buddy?
give me a minute to jump
Not
out.
bad.
I
You don't
gotta.
have to say that. You can just jump out.
Okay. I'm trying to
No,
make
because then, people listening are like, I don't know, what were you going to say? Joe, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you? I promise not to terrify you with a horrific visual this time.
Okay, great. We're off to a good start.
I thought so.
What's going on with you? What do you have around your microphone there?
That is actually a gift I got from a friend of mine's daughter. She made me a
Oh.
bracelet,
Well, I
and
can't
you know
insult
what?
it now. Okay, it's great.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
It is. You know what? She took the time. She was 8 years old. She made it herself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? I will now keep that on there just as a memento of what she did.
Yeah. If it gets too cold, it could just like fire off. So you got to make sure you're not standing over top of it, right? Like,
I do. Yeah. It's it'll probably take my eye out.
yes. Well, you're wearing glasses, so
I am. It's
I'm glad we went over
it's
this.
out.
Safety first, Joe.
Safety first until it breaks the glasses. But you know what? I'm optimistic. Why not?
That's right. We're gonna bring Paul back in. Paul, have you met Joe before?
Yeah, we've briefly met on the show.
We chatted
for-
quite a bit.
yes,
Chatted quite a bit
for-
on text.
and we've texted each other a few times, I think.
We're
What do
both
you
in
do
the
for a
same
living,
city.
Joe?
I'm a developer. I'm actually I'm now a manager, which is weird. In IT, so
Boo.
we do a lot of IT development.
Nice.
I've done a lot of IT development from different companies and nonprofits.
So you're the guy that works at the office where no one else can do what you do?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
well,
That's-
a little bit.
I'd love
less
to be
now.
that guy. I really would.
Yeah. It's so I mean on which is kind of cool in certain ways because the other thing I also do is I do a lot of live streaming myself. So instead
Right.
of doing sort of talking, I actually go out and try to film actual events going on. So downtown Ottawa, I'll actually film the convites, as to what's going on. So I'll actually bring equipment out and try to do that. So I'll try to see if I can get some live footage. So I'm actually going to announce this now before tomorrow. I'm actually going to be going to Peterborough tomorrow during Drag Time Story Time and try to capture some live footage of what's going on there.
I don't want to talk about that.
Dude,
No, we're not going to talk about that, but that's just what's going to happen.
Well, actually, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Hang on a second. I'll talk about the tech behind it. How's that?
No,
That's
I want to
cool.
talk.
That's cool.
I think I want to talk about that only in one way. Just
Okay.
one way. Just I'll say one sentence that I think like says everything I'd want to say about that whole thing.
Sure.
If the attire is in no way provocative, I don't care. However, if they're
Agreed.
dressed like club kids, I care. And I would if it was just a couple of dizzy fucking men or women that were just doing it the same type of thing. I just don't understand why the attire in the cases that it happens to be like this has to be like that. That it's too scandalous sometimes, the attire. Other than that, I don't give a fuck. That's basically where I'm at.
I mean, I've also
I don't know what any of that means.
Emil, you're right. I've done a lot of .NET programming. You will understand what I mean by that. I was way too nerd for everybody here, I'm sure. So in regards to Drag Time Story Time, my position is I see very little difference between Mr. Dress Up and Drag Story Time.
Completely agree.
Costumes, there's outfits. Everybody involved there is
Really?
having a good time.
You don't?
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
no. No.
I don't remember Mr. Dress Up ever wearing like, assless chaps or something. There are some that are like.
That's not a thing that happens though.
That doesn't happen at Drag Story Time.
It's
That
not,
never
it's not a
It
thing.
does have some.
No.
Listen, there's no.
No.
There is no like you're right or wrong about this one. There are instances that are clearly wrong and instances that aren't, and that's the way that I think you have to look at it if you're being honest about it. I don't think people dressed in any burlesque type should be reading stories to kids. I don't give a fuck if they're men, women, drags or not. I don't give a fuck. Drag queens or not, it doesn't matter. There's just a certain look that I don't think is appropriate for kids. And that's it. And it doesn't have to be drag. It could be regular like people that aren't drag queens that are dressed like that.
I see where you're saying there. Now, whether it be drag or whether it be non-drag, if there's a merry widow involved, yeah, I can agree with you that there might be something there in question. To this, I will turn around and say, bring me said video, photo, whatnot of that occurring at a drag story, and then we'll talk about it.
It exists, and I know that like it's just come on, like it exists just for the sheer fact that math exists. Because you take a certain amount of anything, and you're going to find that there's going to be a few that are bad. And I think that I don't think anyone would have a problem with this idea. It's never really been about like it's not necessarily always about whether the children need to see it. Sometimes I just wonder who thought of the idea and why, because there wasn't ever like a time where I think that you could ask someone about like a drag queen performance and then not think that it's probably for people who are 18 and older, even though it's not nudity. Like I think most people would just assume that was the case before this ever existed. And now we have to take a look at it in a different lens, and that's fine. But the lens should be all about like, okay, we have to change the culture of the typical drag queen event, which everyone thought was for 18 and older, like a burlesque event kind of thing. And then we have to change that into something that you can do in front of kids. So it's not like the 18 thing and older. And that's fine because it's thoughtful. But you can't just like expect me to be like, no, exactly like that. Just
No,
like,
but I mean,
watch
like,
it.
yeah, but I haven't seen any. From all the stuff I've seen in regards to the drag
It
story
exists.
time.
You look for it. Like I mean, and I'm careful. I know which
You look for
sites
every-
are bullshit and which aren't. Like it
That's the thing.
exists.
If you look for anything on the internet, you'll find it, no
Right.
matter how bizarre and twisted it is.
But I
Rule
think that's the
34.
conversation that people are having that no one understands that they're having. So we proved it right now. So there is a side, and sometimes you just have to grin and bear the fact that the side that you agree with, you might not agree with almost anything else that they agree with, but like, and they may come at it from a place of hate, and I don't. But like, I think that there is truth in that I've seen from reputable sources, and there's stories about pedophiles who have used it, co-opted the drag queen story to actually do something. That isn't like an urban myth. It's just that it's so anecdotal that people don't think that you should ever bring it up. And it's just like, well, why not? You should be able to bring up anything in this world. You shouldn't have to label something as only this, but you shouldn't be afraid of saying what has existed.
Yeah, but I mean, you can also go on the internet and go find information in regards to vaccines are dangerous to you.
Yeah, of course.
We know
you
that's
can. And
bullshit.
I talked about that yesterday, and I think we should be able to talk about that too.
Well, we can
No.
certainly talk about it,
Yeah.
but it's like let's not get carried away and go like the COVID vaccine is what is the reason that Lisa Marie Presley died. There's no evidence to support any of that.
Okay, well, that obviously that's on its face is self-evidently ridiculous because
Right.
they do that with every death now too. By the way.
Yeah. And it's gotten to be to the point where like I'm a pacifist, but I want to punch people in the face.
I think
because
that
they're
we
being
should
so
have had a
ridiculous.
real-time report of every person who died of the vaccine, so we could see with our own eyes how rare it is. That's
But
where
how do
I'm
you-
at.
Like it's like
A real-time count, not like you shield everybody, because as bad as I talked about this last night too. The reason why they are bad is to me self-evident, because I am not I'm not a right winger. I can look at them with the most critical eye ever. I think that the people that control the really rabid fucking right wingers are intentionally mislead them in order to fulfill their cause. I know that happens, right? Like, and you see it, and it's a large enough swath where it's clear. And the left, and I don't care. It's not about equivalent. So I hate it when people do it. It's false equivalency. I'm not equivalizing anything. I just think one is this kind of bad and the other is this kind of bad. But the left do this social engineering thing. It's like, we don't really want to, as a journalist, as a media outlet, we don't really want to run stories about dangers of vaccines because we want people to get vaccinated. That I fucking can't stand either. I
I'm
hate
not a
that.
fan either.
You
Like,
know?
let's be honest, right? The problem is
sorry.
there's a certain amount of the population that they don't understand honesty. They don't understand truth. They understand what they're told. And I don't know how to work with that.
Sorry, Paul, to also add to that, they also don't understand critical thinking to help them answer those very things you're saying.
Indeed. It's like
It's very elitist for us to talk like this. We should just be able to give people the kind of facts that that exist. And like real time, like, do you remember the John Hopkins?
Hold
on. Do you remember the John Hopkins interactive auto refreshing COVID map that was there at the beginning?
Yes.
And all the states it was just the United States, and all the states in the United States reported into this John Hopkins data map. And it was like a real-time running of like cases and deaths. And it was like always kind of whatever. They should have had that for like every important thing. They should have had that for deaths for people that had one pre-existing condition, 2 and 3, not to sway anyone, but to just give them the facts so that we all could have looked at this with the same lens from the very beginning. And what we did instead was editorial decisions were made and government decisions were made at the communications level and the messaging level where they were singing from the same playbook. And this was the playbook. Don't tell them things that might alarm them, and don't report things that are anti-vaccine, and don't report things that are anti-mask, and don't report. And even if there were stories that were legit stories that were critical of each one of those things, they made the choice not to tell us because we're children, and they decided to give us the UFO treatment where it's like, we don't want to cause a social panic and tell them about the aliens. Like that's what they were like with everything. And I fundamentally disagree with that. And I think that fomented the right. I think that helped create a certain swath that contributed to like the convoy protests. I think it fucking like fed into all of it. And I think we did it wrong. And
There's an expression I remember here as something that's kind of goes against exactly what you just said, James. A person is smart and people are stupid.
I've been hearing that for years, right? Like, not really, since politics class in in college, like 20,000 years ago, whatever it was.
The mob mentality is
I'm
very
just saying,
strong.
like our teacher used to always say, like we live in a country where 80% of us are morons, and who are you going to listen to? The 10 smart people, the 10 average people, or the 80 morons? He's like, well, we listen to the 80 morons, and you know what? That is, I guess, the price of a democracy, and that's fine by me, because the battle for bad ideas will only be won by good ideas, and the only good ideas that we have to work with are things that are true, and the only way that we can work with true things is if we communicate them. And I feel like we have a disinformation campaign against the social engineering campaign of a different sort, and I find that we're all just sort of helpless to it. And I don't think that's why when I used to approach social media, I approached it from a perspective of, I'm going to try to only make sense, even if I'm a little snarky, because I don't want to contribute to just the snarky for the sake of it. And I realized that was a losing battle after a while, but I feel like social media is the reason that we all think like this now, and and why we don't think now. And I think we have to do something about that. We have to have fuck protesting governments. We need to start protesting big tech's algorithms. We need to literally protest algorithms. Like, if AI is going to take a big chunk out of us, we should be able to protest against some of these programs. Even like how are we going to navigate the waters now, or sorry, in the future, when right now we can barely we're all suffocating on top of one another. Like, we're worried about who owns Twitter, for fuck's sakes. Why are we even caring? Why is anyone caring about that? And and why is Twitter, if it's not real life, why does what is it, 70% of the news now come from Twitter? There's an entire editorial business. People have jobs where their job is literally to pluck comments from social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook, and
Which is messed.
And just build stories around that. Mean tweets it's crazy.
I was talking to somebody yesterday about that, and it's like media. And this is an old story that I'm sure I'm repeating for somebody else. Where even journalism today has changed a lot from what it was when we were younger, back in the 80s and 90s, where it was back then the cadences were, it's your print media was in the morning and maybe the evening edition, depending where you were. You had the 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock news, and might have a noontime news. And so everything was done on deadlines, but there was also the process and making sure everything was enforced with, journalism standards, double sourcing, all the rules were held up.
Truth.
Exactly. There was truth, there was accountability, and everything was kept into place. Nowadays, that's changed greatly, because they're competing so tightly just to get even just one click, that they need people to jump in there, and so that these guys are trying to get as quickly as possible. And it's no longer the cadence of you're waiting for the news for 6 o'clock. It is as quickly as you're opening up Twitter, and the competition is there so tight and fast that we're gonna, that truth has to be sacrificed to make sure I get the story out there.
Yeah, that's the core. I know. It's the click farm stuff.
So
we have apparently a rapper joining us named Danny B. But you're on, but I can't hear you or see you unless you haven't spoken yet. Can you speak, Danny B?
Her wave.
Nope, she's having trouble. She's out again.
So we'll bring her back when she's
I'm
good.
very quick on the draw. I want to develop a reputation for that. For being a person at any second, I could just get rid of you. And it's not, don't take it personally. I just have to, for my own well-being. It's just a sense.
Totally
it's a sense of control that I have, and I need to maintain that in order for this to go well.
The thing is, it's not a control thing. It's more about you want the show to be good. And
I don't remember who it was, but that guy at the first one of the first shows was like, hi. Or something, and I was like, I can't.
No, you're right. You're right.
I don't know who that was, but
you want to have a good show so that the people who are viewing it can enjoy it, and there's going to be mistakes and mess ups and all that, and that's fine. But if you have a guest who comes in and is like, yes, we're waiting for you. Please show what you're doing.
Yeah, I can't.
I got a quick question though. Paul, have you been sponsored by Rode? Just out of curiosity.
No, I've
No.
not.
Okay.
No. It's
Has
just
your
I like
microphone ever been Rode?
all my mics are Rode. I have a couple of Sennheiser mics actually. Here's the weird part. I'm a sales rep for sure, but they don't give me no love, so fuck them, right?
You're a sales rep for a company that you just said, fuck them? I think, do you
No,
sure?
I'm not
By the way, this is
employed.
live, and I'm sending it to your employer. So
I'm
go
not
ahead.
employed by the company.
I'll clip that shit for sure.
I'm not employed by Shure, but we, the company that I am employed by is a representative for that company, and they don't give me any love. So fuck them.
Paul, I don't want to alarm you, but I think an orb just floated in your view.
Probably.
Have you guys ever seen that? There's a clip of a woman who is resigning from QAnon or something.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
That shit was crazy, dude.
And she's like,
stop
and
floating
I
the
see you
orbs.
orbs.
The
You're not
orbs.
gonna be able
I
to
see the
stop
orbs.
me, orbs. And I'm like, you mean the little insects that are flying around your apartment? Like, isn't that
Or
what it is? Those
like
are bugs, right?
Well, it's
To me, I was like, are the orbs in the room with you right now?
No, but you could see it. You knew what she was talking about
Right.
because you could see them. And but
you
they
know what
were
it
like,
is?
yeah,
It's dust. It's like literally dust that flows,
Yeah.
and the light reflects it, and it like the naked eye can't see it, but the way the light hits it, it looks like this thing. And I'm like, orbs. Stop sending the orbs. I'm like, no, that's just dust.
Just-
you know what
Hold on,
dust
I
is?
have an update.
Just
I have
clean
a
your
Danny.
place.
I have a Danny B update. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose it. Says Danny
I
B.
get it.
All she needs to do is have tech that works.
So
you own a
James,
computer.
you of all people know how much I love, abso-freaking-lutely love.
Beautiful woman.
Well, of course that.
Who does?
But
Your penis.
well, it's mine, so of course I love it.
Okay.
But it would.
So I was right. Thank you.
And Paulie's
Sorry.
been derailed.
I had to take a moment to take a breath there, but it's my favorite rapper, who is the absolute beast. You know who she is. You've interviewed her a couple of times. And like, I wanna hang with her.
Who? Did I? Oh,
Eternia.
Eternia. Oh, I know Eternia. Eternia's like a buddy. Like, we go way back. Like we've been like running into each other in the city of Toronto for like since like the late '90s or whatever, and we have a lot of mutual friends.
She is so good. If you like hip hop, if you like rap, if you like to hear somebody who spits rhymes better than any human being on earth, you need to discover Eternia.
Yeah. Also,
She's
what
so
does this mean? I have my tech person on. Go. Can you tell me what this means, Joe? Emil says that I stream from a 56K baud
No,
modem.
I think he's talking about Danielle having the 56K baud modem.
James,
Dude,
you
you're old
stream
enough to
from a
have-
56K baud modem with a potato
wait.
for a camera. What's the 56K baud modem? Is that what Starlink is? Because that's what I have.
No, dude, you didn't have dial-up back in the day?
56.
Dude, Emil is telling me this now because I got rid of Danielle because I half of her audio was not coming in for me.
No, he's like,
This is
Did
look
you
at,
not
look at
have-
it, look at it. This is the white knight moment on the chat overlay on
Agreed,
Blackballed
agreed.
Casual,
But I'm like-
Casual Friday.
but the 56K baud modem, did you not have dial-up back in the day?
I did. Yeah, way back in the day. My dad, I had a modem in my house in like 1982 because my dad was like a computer programmer that made that he was a fucking
2400
coder,
baud modem. Okay, so yeah, 56K was one of the last iterations before we ended up going into digital between the DSL, the ISDN, and then eventual cable.
I do agree with Emil about the camera being shitty, but I feel like it's part of my brand now. So, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna pour a coffee. You guys can talk amongst yourself for.
Yeah, we can do that. Do I
Absolutely.
gotta send James a new camera or some shit like that? Like
Maybe. Well, does he have like an actual crappy camera, like the one that's on a laptop, or is it like an actual camera he's just not properly lighting?
No, his lighting's actually pretty good. His backdrop is good.
Well, he's got a good backdrop, but the problem is that if you don't have enough lighting on yourself, like you got
Yeah.
great lighting. You got wonderful lighting. The camera's not
Really?
struggling.
I thought my lighting sucked.
Well, no, the camera's not struggling. So like the camera will be struggling when this frame rate drops and whatnot. And you'll see that a little bit with James where it starts to slow down. That's why I kind of wondered if he had enough lighting going on there.
Well,
For me, I'm just doing right now the overhead lighting. I'm not firing up my actual spot to come on to me. So
it, you're close to where I live, are you not? Like not too far from me.
well, I'm in the same city. I'm in Ottawa. So, but
Yeah,
I'm in the south
that I
end. So
know.
I'm around South Keys. So
Uh,
it's Ottawa. Fuck, everything's
Yeah, yeah.
close.
like literally everything in Ottawa is like a 15-minute drive, right?
Yeah, this is not Toronto
No,
by any stretch of the imagination. No, no, no.
Toronto. Everything in Toronto is 1 hour from Toronto.
Exactly. Yeah, no. Everything. No, I'm in South Keys. I mean, last year I was going downtown every weekend. So, I even sent you a message once or twice in regards to I'm going out here and I'm streaming live at our big these events and protests, and I've had some wonderful events. But I'm like, goddamn, like the one I remember texting you about this was I just finished capturing a protest that started at Parliament Hill, and it was for the Congo in regards to the issues that they have with Rwanda and there's a whole story to it, which is like kind of interesting if you didn't know about it. And
Well,
they started their protest. So it has to do with the resources that are being stolen from the Congo and being sold. So, and they want to get that resource deemed as sort of like the same thing as the blood diamonds.
so I have a bit of a connection with the African continent that a lot of people
Oh.
might not know about. My parents lived in my mom and dad lived in Botswana for 4 years,
Oh,
in Gaborone or Gaborone.
were you there too?
I spent 6 weeks there, and it was a life-changing event for me. So when I ventured there, I was in the depths of the worst depression of my life. It was bad. It was really, really bad. The state my consciousness was in, and I spent 6 weeks with my mom and dad, and my sister. One of my sisters came to visit, which was magnificent because you're with your parents in on another continent, and you have your sister with you, and it was a life changing in the sense that I wow. Uh, Give me a sec here.
Take your time. There's no rush.
Well, if you've seen my ASMR channel, I'm pretty open about
Yeah.
it, stuff on that, and I'm not going to hold anything back here this evening, but I need a moment or two to collect my thoughts. Uh, my folks were they came from modest means, and my father, Air Force, uh, worked his way up and became he made it to the highest rank he could possibly make in his line of work. So he was offered this thing called the FRP, the Forces Reduction Plan, and they said, "Could take this money." And he's like, "Well, I don't know about that. Let me just go talk to my family." And he sat down with my mom and dad. Mom and dad. He sat down with my sisters, who are way smarter than I am. And they went, if you don't take this, you're stupid. So he took the deal, and boom. Next thing you know, he gets this job offer from this other company, and he ends up living in Botswana for 4 years. And my mom goes there, and both my sisters visit, and I go to visit, and it was a life-changing, life-altering moment in my stupid existence, because here I am, this dumb old white guy who thinks, shit is great, and then I meet all these wonderful, incredible people who live with next to nothing, and they have no stress, and they're the happiest people I've ever met in my life. And I went, oh, so when I come back home to Canada, maybe I should take a better look at how I live my life and
No.
do my best to be.
No, I mean,
You're
you're
fine. Everything's fine.
to associate like,
relative.
my living standard should be okay because somebody else's is a wrong approach when it comes to mental health. I mean, and I know you've probably learned that lesson now. I'm sure
Valid.
where it
Yeah,
has
yeah.
nothing to do with income, has nothing to do with this. Mental health is exactly that. If somebody gets any other medical condition, like whether it be cancer, whether it be anything else, it has nothing to do with your income. It's just this is what happens to the body.
Yeah.
Mental health is no different.
I already had the cancer, so I'm good.
I don't think you
Excellent.
guys really understand the genre of Casual Fridays.
Yeah, we're supposed to have some.
We're not
fun,
here
right?
for this. All right, guys?
It's true. It's true. Well, it's because my
I'm already
wonderful wife
dealing
is
with with Emil's white knight complex in the chat there. I'm watching I'm here for your I can't stand listening to James. Just
Well,
your
I'm
tech.
afraid
I
of
won't
what
have
to
it,
say
damn you.
because last time I told you about the mother-daughter thing and you kicked me out. So
Well, you just reminded me of it again, Joe. Like, come on, man. Like you can't. I'm a very visual guy, right? Like people have to understand this. Like, you go to that well once and I kick you off, and then you mention it again, and I picture the same thing again, and it just gives me the willies. I can't do it. But that's all part of the fun, right? Like, this is.
Yeah.
what we
Okay.
do.
Fair. Look,
It's Casual
your
Fridays,
show.
man.
It's your
Yeah,
show. So
that's right. That's right. And you know what? I can take the chat overlay drama. That's fine. It adds
Okay.
to it as far as I'm concerned. I think that I'm not really. In fact, I will even say this. I was really dissing. If you really want to know the truth of it, Restream. I took it out on Danielle because she's using the tech that Restream doesn't really mesh well with. It's not her fault. It's Restream's fault.
yes. Yeah.
So, if that helps you, Emil, sleep tonight with your shield and your sword secure on your wall as you defend the honor of Safari, which I guess is what you're doing. How many have you had tonight, Paul? Because you're doing that thing where your head is kind of like this a little bit.
Well, so this would be the second beer at my home.
Oh, does it restart once you change locations?
No. That's
Bar
second-
hopping is really popular, I think, because of that.
So I was at the pub earlier, and I was there with my buddy Phil, who is a really great human being who has, he has a tough time because his job is messed up, and that's all I'm going to say. So we had about 5 or 6 drinks, and maybe 2 scotch. So I don't know.
This is you're at 10 now. Oh, Danny. Okay, yo, Danny B, what up?
Is it terrible still or no?
That is perfect. That is
You're
so much
awesome.
better.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's right. See,
praise little
Me.
baby.
praise me. I did this. I kicked you out, made you get better tech.
The
You came back
fucking
in,
lies you
got better
tell.
tech.
If it makes you feel better, cool.
What do you mean? It's right there. People just have to rewind.
Yeah.
I'm just. It's not your fault. It's Restream's fault. I don't know why everyone's getting all personal about this.
No,
Emil's
it
like
really
threatening
is.
to take
That's
my
not-
life from the other side of the world because because of your tech issues. Actually, I didn't know where Emil is. For some reason, I
They
thought he
were
was in
not-
Europe.
Yeah,
Is he-
no,
No, he's in Ottawa.
Oh.
Oh no, Emil's in Sweden.
Sweden.
Oh, well, that's what I
And
said.
he's my brother, but he's not fighting. Restream is trash.
Yeah.
First of all,
So Danny B,
I'm not
where are
gonna,
you?
I'm not going to argue with you. You know.
that's facts. No, I wasn't shitting on any of that. That's facts. So I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm in Kitchener.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Just down the road.
It's
Usually, when
good.
people click that link, they got a story to tell. Do you have a story to tell?
I don't, but I just wanted to hop on and say hello.
Okay. Well, hello,
Hello there.
Danny B. Now, is that just something you thought of now, or is that what people call you?
No, no. Well, my name's very long, but the
Danielle?
friends in the chat call me Danny.
Uh-huh.
My name is actually Danielle, so it's a short form, I guess. And so I just got sick of typing it all in when my tech didn't work. So Danny.
What do you mean your name is long?
Well, Danielle has a lot of letters in the name, so
Oh,
And how about the surname?
it's not that
Baker.
long.
It's a lot of letters.
It's not that many letters.
James is not a lot of letters.
Okay.
Danielle has a few letters.
All right. All right.
Cool.
No, I don't know. Anyway,
No, all good. All good.
it's not important.
Okay. No, but I thought you were going to say like it's Daniela Stravita. Blah, 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 blah. Like that's what I thought you meant by long. When you said it, like, how long is it? You're like Danielle. I'm like, oh,
We thought it was going to be some
longest
sort of
name
like
ever.
thing.
Well, letter-wise,
It's not even Stephanie. Like it's.
Okay, so it's
you know.
funny. Our family shares. This is stupid, but side note, our family shares like so. One has the Netflix, one has the Disney Plus, the other one has the Amazon Prime, and so I messaged my brother today because I just got my internet hooked back up with a different company. Not important. And I was like, "Did you change the password?" And he goes, "Yeah." And so he spells it out. And it's my name in capital letters. So I'm like, you do realize the password was my name in lowercase letters. He's like, oh, I forgot the password. I'm like, oh my God. It's just so stupid.
Now we all know the password though, so that's good.
Yeah, but he doesn't
Make
know
it
it's
awesome.
okay, so it's okay. It's fine.
Can I have your email address?
No. Well, you can have mine, but that's not my password, so it's fine.
I'm sure.
I'm not an idiot. So it's fine.
No, you're not an idiot. Imagine
So-
I called you an idiot. Imagine how like how bad how
imagine?
dramatic this show would end up being. You're an idiot.
Duh.
May I ask what is in your mug?
Me?
No, not you.
Does it matter?
Oh.
Tea?
Oh, okay.
I'm just curious. Is
It's a
it
beverage.
tea?
It's a beverage.
Okay, fine, cool.
But the
Come on.
cup is cute, right?
What's in the fucking mug, Danielle?
Does it fucking matter? No.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm just
Live
for
your
me.
life.
I'm just like, what are
If-
you slowly drinking? I don't care what it is. I'm just I'm just asking the question. That's all.
I'm saying, guys, I'm just saying. It's not fun content. When you won't tell us what's in the mug. Just tell us what's in the mug. No, Dan. No, Okay, she gets one more chance. One more chance.
What?
Don't but
What happened?
if there's I don't know.
You're
What's in the
back
mug?
A beverage.
here. Ah,
I'm a little parched. Leave me alone.
fair enough. Fair enough.
What's in the mug?
Michelle, is Michelle
know.
the Corby? Or Dickerby? What's Michelle's surname? I don't know how to pronounce it
DeCorby,
properly.
or I'm not
DeCorby.
sure if it's. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Michelle.
Is she on? Love to have her on that. I gotta, I'll
Piss?
be right back. Well, yeah.
Piss.
Do you have
You
a
gotta go
crush?
piss. It's casual fucking Friday. It's not etiquette Friday. Except with you, Danielle. You have to show a little bit more etiquette.
Why?
I want to know what's in the mug.
Beer.
Okay.
But
How
it's in
hard
a
is that?
pretty-
It's not even coy. It's just difficult.
Look how cute even the little tea spout is. It's cute. So who cares?
I guess. Is it like hand painted? Is it one of a kind or mass produced?
Well, I don't know. Do you ask those questions when you buy? I mean, I got it as a gift, so
I'm asking you that question. I don't
I
write down my
actually
question.
don't have the answer. I would imagine it's math.
Danielle, remind me what you do for a living.
I do. Well, right now I'm at home, so that's what I do. But I'm raising a tiny human who
Okay,
is a rock
okay.
star.
Okay. Maybe you want to open with that next time. I
No,
thought you had a
thank
home
you.
position that you were all being equally coy about as you were with the beer in the mug.
No,
Well, that is the toughest job, as they say. How old is your small tiny human?
7.
7. I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, so I sort of, I guess, can understand.
Wild.
Yes.
They're little monsters, but lovely at the same time. Hello,
Hi, Wade.
Father.
This show is far too not fucking casual. I just had to jump on and say, like, this has been serious,
Right?
far too serious all night long.
That's what I'm saying. You know,
Um,
the flow gets all fucked up when people won't tell you what's in their mugs. I mean,
Oh,
I
for
can't
fuck's
stress this
sake,
enough.
grow up.
we'll start it off, okay?
Well, you can't.
Maxwell
you can't just
House.
tell a guy to grow
Why?
up. No, you-
Because it's the cheapest coffee around.
You got to deliver your insults with like some sort of like, you know, style.
Exactly.
I can't have this, guys. I can't have this. You can't just go on a show and just be like, you know, surly. Like you have to like own it with the humor that goes behind the surliness.
Exactly.
Tell me to grow up. I'm not going to grow up. This is my show. How you doing, Wade?
I'm doing well. I do have a confession to make.
What's that?
I am probably the only person in this chat, on this podcast, that hasn't seen an episode of Kenny and Spenny.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you very much should. You should go to YouTube. In fact, like as soon as you're done here, and you should go to Kenny's Penny, and just start at the beginning. I don't know where you find it, but you'll find it. But or not. It doesn't. You don't have to start at the beginning. It's the same fucking.
Yeah. No,
formula.
I get the concept of what the show was about and so forth. And
Yeah.
it sounds like something that's right up my fucking alley. But I do want to say that I've caught Kenny on your podcast, on Dean's podcast, and so forth. And the guy has a lot of good points, and I enjoy his conversation with you guys.
He's a good man. Yeah, and he's funny
seems
as
like
hell.
a down to earth kind of dude, and it's all good.
Yeah. Where are you, anyways? You're in Alberta.
I'm at home. I'm at home.
Where is
Yeah,
home
no.
though?
Bruderheim, about an hour north of Edmonton.
Oh, okay.
Little small. I was going to say fishing village, but I guess it'd be a farming community. Not much fishing in northern Alberta.
What was your main occupation?
My main occupation is truck driver
Truck driver
/ photographer.
/ photographer. Oh, you know what? That's a good combination because you've probably been everywhere, right?
Yeah, / musical engineer / broadcast engineer / I've done it all.
But did you have like a main
bar
one that
ownerships.
you were like decades?
Yeah, driving.
Yeah.
Driving
Yeah.
and photography.
Where so all over the states, Canada?
Just Canada, northern
Canada.
Alberta. Yeah, stuck close to home.
Oh, okay. So you didn't never do these long road trips like across to the Maritimes or anything?
No, I've been lucky I didn't have to.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Would it get
'cause
boring though, driving in the same province?
No, because I'm home every night, and I enjoy my home life and being.
So you're like the last leg of the shipping trip.
Yeah, I did a little bit of long haul from here into BC and here into Saskatchewan and some overnights here and there, and I hated it. Just hated it. You know, I'm too much a social butterfly to be cooped up for 72 hours alone in a 4x8 cubic foot tractor. It's
Plus, did you have to eat while you drove?
No, I'd pull over and have a barbecue.
Oh, la-di-da. You're like one of those, like, what do they call that when you go camping, but it's like you bring a bunch of shit, like glamping, I think they call it?
Yeah,
Like
glamping.
glamour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Basically, that's what you do. You throw a little hibachi, a charcoal briquette barbecue in the bunk, and you got a fridge in there and a microwave and everything. So
yeah. It sounds like where Milhouse's dad would live one day. You know,
exactly.
I love Mill. There's so many jokes you can make about Milhouse's dad. Like he's like everyone's dad. No, he's probably just my dad.
No, I think there's
Like there's dads like I had a friend on the street that I grew up on. Her name was Anne Marie, and her dad was like the abused person of the house. Like the kids were like teenagers and the mom, they would all be like, "Oh, shut up, Dad! Fuck off, Dad! Get out of here! Go back upstairs! You don't know what you're talking about, Dad!" And he'd be like, "Okay, okay." And no matter who it was the 13-year-old or the mom, it didn't matter. And I felt so sorry for this guy. And then when I became a Simpsons fan and I watched Milhouse's dad, he always reminded me of that guy. And I was like, I never want to become Milhouse's dad. That's been my whole goal throughout every relationship, is never to become Milhouse's dad. That would be a mistake.
Did
You know,
you
if I
work
talk
at a
my way to
cracker factory?
Pardon
if I
me?
talk
Oh, the Cracker Factory. No. I think Whitby's nickname is Cracker Factory. So you know.
if I talked that way to my father, I'd still be dizzy today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I do totally get that. Totally
Yeah,
get that.
yeah. And Paul, you were saying earlier that you really appreciate the fact that both your parents are still alive. My dad's 86, my mom's 81.
Oh, wow.
And both-
Awesome.
and
Like
both,
awesome.
you know, in fit, good health, you know,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the faculties about them, still living in their original home. And yeah, try and get out there every week or so to visit, and
Well,
appreciate
so-
the fact that they're still around.
In my case, there's like not an original home because, you know, military kids, we moved around a lot. But my parents are like literally a 20-minute drive from here. And every time I go to visit my mom and dad, they're like, "Oh, here's," like my mom's like, "Take this. Here's some food. Here's some." I'm like,
Yeah.
Mom, like, what am I? She's like, "No, here's food. Here's food. We have money. Take it. Take it." I'm like,
Okay.
you know what? I'm going to. I'm going
Is your
to.
mom a good cook?
Oh yeah, my mom's a really good cook.
What does she cook? What are her dishes, her signatures?
Well, I mean, she has like literally about 50 or 60, you know, sort of signature. That's the one. But for me, I have like 3 or 4 scallop potatoes, which is like or shipwreck, or
What
the
is
thing-
shipwreck? I know what scalloped potatoes are. What is shipwreck?
shipwreck is similar with beef and cheese and stuff
Oh, okay.
added in.
Like peasant food. I love peasant food.
Well, because it's just carbs, right?
No, but peasant food, no matter where you are in the world, there's always like a really amazing peasant food dish. Like in Peru, it's papa juanaquina. It's that you know, mashed potatoes with the feta cheese and hot sauce, but the whole thing probably costs like $1. You know, like if you wanted to make it. And you know, there's in like Italy, or no, there's like all these goulashes across Europe that are like that. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, yeah.
potatoes and meat and vegetables and tomato or whatever. And I love that shit. I think that those are the greatest foods because they're made with people that need like the nourishment, but that's all they had, so they had to make it as fucking dope as possible.
So,
right? So,
well, like for me, the ultimate meal for me is like a gigantic shepherd's pie with a pint of Guinness, maybe a whiskey or two, and life is brilliant.
dude, I take like
Florida.
like hamburger patties. Like we'll like freeze a bunch of homemade hamburger patties or something like that, and I'll just make a thing of rice. I'll take a couple of those hamburger patties, I'll cook them, but then I'll mash them up and I'll put like mushrooms and onion and cherry tomatoes cut in half, and I'll just fucking toss that up for like 10 minutes and then put it on top of the rice and put a bunch of spicy shit on it and just eat that. Like you know, like it's just
Well-
the goulashy stuff that where it's just simple shit and it depends how you spice it, or you put some sriracha sauce on it or some shit like that.
Sriracha.
I love peasant food. I love
So, dude, it's not. That's not a shepherd's pie, but it is a shepherd's pie,
yeah.
right?
It's shepherd's pie without the painstaking work of putting it in the oven.
Yeah, well, and look, if you're like, I like the spicy, throw all the sriracha. I'm like, oh, yeah.
We had
Yeah.
supper today. Joe made some fish and some KD and
Fish and KD,
that's whitefish, yeah. But
whitefish
the
and craft dinner.
Yeah, it's
I
our
don't even know what to
after,
say about that.
it's post Christmas dinner, man. After so much turkey and shit through the last month.
What? I don't think anyone's ever thought that. I've never
This
heard of that.
KD, the KD tonight is a whole separate food group on its own.
Oh
She
yeah.
took the KD and you put in a little bit of salsa, really spicy salsa, and some queso sauce, the yellow type salsa. Mix it all up, and I'll tell you, it's the fucking best.
All right.
It is
So
just awesome.
I have a KD thing that people go, that's disgusting. They go, try it.
Yeah.
So you do the noodles as you normally would, nothing out of the ordinary there. And then instead of milk and butter, you do like a tablespoon of mayo, but it has to be the olive oil mayo, right? So Hellman's olive oil based mayo, tablespoon, done. And then a little bit of salt, like literally 2 crunches on a grinder. 2 crunches on a grinder of pepper. And then you mix that stuff up. You just stir it up. And
I
you
think
give
all
a
the
couple
suspense just to say mix.
and a couple of squirts of sriracha.
Yeah, you lose me with the mayo.
Why does Paul take something as simple as craft dinner and turn it sexual?
Because I don't know how else to live.
The way he
Well, well, he admitted it. We all suspected it, but we never
how I
thought he'd
roll,
say it out
brother.
loud.
That's how I roll.
Guys, this was fun. But we're going now. It's only 11:07, but I'm not doing a marathon one today because I don't want to leave my show early, and I'm fucking tired.
All good, brother.
But it's a good time to end it. Wade, thank you very much.
problem,
Thank you,
thanks.
Danielle,
Thanks for letting me
for kind of
chime in.
joining. Trying to tell me to grow up again. Won't have any problems. My big thanks to Spenny. And Joe, thank you for coming as well. Spenny, we'll have you back anytime. Let's come back. Show me the tattoo. I can't wait to see the tattoo, even though I said I didn't think you should get it. But but that's just me.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it too. And thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you next time on Blackball.
Blackball. Blackball. Blackball. Blackball.